Welcome to the next episode in the truck camper build series. Now that the entire exterior of the camper is painted, one of the next steps is to get all the different appliances and things that go on the outside of the camper, like the windows, air conditioning, things of that nature, back installed because they were all removed prior to paint. So the first thing I'm going to do is get the camper jack brackets bolted back onto the camper. A lot of other things can get put on because of that. So let's get to it. So here's the deal. We got these jack brackets which need to get mounted on the camper. They're a little warped, but that's not the point. The point is I need to put a spacer. The original design was these bad boys were on here like this and they got mounted up, right? Well, there was a 1/2 inch spacer that spaced these down originally, which I want to keep that. It would prevent steel from being directly against aluminum and cause any dissimilar metal corrosion situations. So they had plywood, it rotted away. It's not what you use for that. Not what I'm going to use. So what I want to use is like a machinable plastic is my first thought. Well, then I don't have that, so I was like, you know what, I found this. I got this old Trex board here, which is just like a manufactured deck board, but it's too thick. I don't have a planer, but I'm going to try and cut this down and make this into the size it needs to be. It's a little narrow, but it's going to work. It's not bad at all. Pretty much is like the exact size that it needs to be. And we're going to cut it to length. So now this is a little sketchy, but I don't have a planer. So I'm going to cut this at about 9/16 of an inch. Now I gotta flip it over like this, put it up against. So there you go. Now that the pieces are cut to the thickness, drilled 4 5/8 holes in them, which will line up with those holes for 3/8 bolts, but it's a spacer so they can be bigger. And you line that up like that. And then I welded this and it warped. Because it's warped, I took a belt sander and belt sanded a belly into this. So now when you put this on here, it sits relatively flat, and that is how it's going to get bolted in onto the camper. So now you're on the driver's side rear of the camper, and this is the jack bracket that I have mocked up with a bottle jack. And this is just getting it mocked up so I know where to drill the holes. I am drilling the second hole for the jack bracket underneath here. I got one hole drilled and a bolt started, and the second one I still have the bottle jack supporting it. So the jack bracket spacers, I had them running the full length all the way to the edge of the camper here. Well, there's trim under here that runs and screw heads that kind of made the whole jack bracket go down, so that messed everything up. So what I ended up doing was trimming the spacer back more so that it sat just on the on this flat portion of the underbelly of the siding. And this one's pretty crooked. So what I got going on is I have it all tightened up. Everything's tight, just the way I want it. And then I have this rig here where I got like a spacer or whatever. Doesn't really matter. But the point is I got a 5/8 bolt in there in the center, and I have a bottle jack, and I'm literally going to jack up this whole corner of the camper and see what happens as a test. This is live. This is the first test. I haven't done this side yet, so let's see how it works. Yep, we got it elevated now. So, yep, the rear is actually lifting up. So I know that there's a lot of force right here. And it does bend a little bit, you'll see. But I'm going to loosen this and you'll watch this bracket bend. Before this bracket, you look at the old videos, it was no good. But I rebuilt these brackets and they're definitely stronger. So watch as I loosen this. So that's pretty good. It bends a little bit because this spacer, that plastic squishes a little bit, and the steel does bend a tiny bit. But it's not much. And then what I want to test again here is while I'm jacking it up, which that's pretty good. I want to see how level it is now. See, look at that. That's pretty close. That is very close to being level. It's not perfect, but for what we're doing here, it'll be good. Next step, we are getting some more stuff in here. So this is the exterior shower. I got some alcohol on a rag here. I'm just going to wipe down the surface where the butyl tape's going to go and stick that on there and get that on the camper. So we have the exterior shower right there, butyl tape, and this is the opening. Here's the plumbing lines, and the furnace is out right now, so I can still plumb in the plumbing lines easily. Alright, I'll give them a little toot. So I have these twist-on style, like for toilets and stuff like that. It's the same style. And I'm gonna reach in there and screw it on there, and it's done. Next step is to get the auxiliary charging port ready for reassembly. So I'm gonna take the 3/16 wide butyl tape and do a nice little perimeter around here, and then send that back in the way it was. We are at the front of the camper, and we have the auxiliary charging port mounted with butyl tape, and now I'm working on the trailer light connection, and I have it all wired up. And now I'm going to put butyl tape on the bottom side here, or the back side here, stick it in there, back in the holes that I had from before. So I've got all of the butyl tape on there, covering where the holes are for the screws and the perimeter. I'm going to put that in there. Because these utilities were already installed prior just to into the framework for a dry fit, we'll call it, there are holes in the framework but not through the aluminum. So I'm just taking an awl here, I'm just going right in the center of the hole where it was, and I'm popping through the aluminum, and then that gives me a little pilot hole for the number 8 by 1 inch long screws, stainless steel. There you go, installed. I'll just trim the butyl tape. Ready to go. Here is the next utility to go in. It is the battery vent plumbing for the exhaust. See the other video for that build. That vent goes right there, and that has to get installed. To get the butyl tape, find the old holes, and just keep on going like everything else. Got the first camper jack bracket installed with the required bolts there, and I got the correct size bolts, 3/8 bolts. And so now that I have all that equipment, I'm gonna get those bad boys installed. And with the lock washers and all that, spacers, I test fit everything with other bolts first to know if they would work. And there you go. The second kneecap smacker is on. Got the 4 3/8 grade 5 bolts. Remember this thing? I do. Well, it's got to get put right back into its spot, which is right there. So let's do it. Right, Tank? What are you doing, Tank? What are you doing, Tank? What are you doing, Sherman? In the middle of reinstalling the waterproof receptacle cover. We're working on electrical right now, and Mark, the electrician, is here, and he's ironically doing electrical on his day off. Exactly. So what do we got, Mark? Real quick, what are we doing?
So we got to put in this surge protector. So from the shore power that you're going to plug into, it's going to come in to the line side and then out on the load side. Then on the load side, on this cable, it's going to go over.
Which is just say what the cable size is. And
it's 10-4, but we're only going to be using 3 of the wires.
Okay.
And that's going to go over here. I don't know what the name of that thing is.
It's the transfer switch inverter portion of the electrical system so he's wiring this to the line side of that. And then from there is the load side of the inverter to the breaker panel, which is how it was. Essentially everything's the same as it used to be, except for we're wiring a hardwired inline surge protector. That's really the only difference to how it used to be. The cool thing is Mark brought this awesome cord, and once we get all that wired up, then we'll sneak the surge protector back in here and mount it up somewhere on this wall, which can't be done. You can't wire it with it mounted, so we gotta wire it then mount it. Marcus is working. He's got his head halfway in the camper. I don't know what he's doing, but I think it has to do with electrical. So there's no electrical going on here. He's mounting the surge protector. All right, so I'm working on I opened up the closet here, and I got that access panel off, which hasn't been off in a while. Exposed all the wiring that I have, and I'm drilling holes because I got to run one of these cable. What are these called, Mark? These cables? RJ49.
Oh, RJ45s.
Wow, it's pretty close. RJ45 through there, and then that is gonna get fed all the way down, just like all of these were. And that's going to go down and connect to the surge protector that Mark's working on. Meanwhile, I am trying to figure out where to mount this remote panel. Alright, I know where I'm going to mount it. I'm going to mount it right there. Got the hole. Down nice in there like that. And get this screwed in there. Got this portion of the electrical done, and it's screwed in there. And on the inside, or the back side, that's what it looks like. Right there. It's time to put this plate on. Alright, what are we doing?
Alright.
Oh, I see. So this is where we had it. This is the line in.
That's right here. That's the shore power.
Okay.
And then the load is going to be going over that way, and then we're just gonna
This is the load he's got, and he's got it all zip tied in there nice.
We just zip tied it up because we needed to terminate it, because in there it's going to be a pain in the ass. So we're going to take this and flop it over, and it's going to be mounted right here on the inside, and we already have our pilot holes already to rock and roll and everything.
All right, we are in the furnace. The furnace area is the only way we can get access, and here's what Mark's got for the surge protector. I don't know if I'll be able to get this on film, but that is the wiring that he has completed for the surge protector. So it looks good. It's all in there. Believe us, we didn't test it yet, but he's certified in what he does. How about that? And all of the line in, and then the load out to the panel, it's all done. And we're gonna test it. Or we gotta put the shore power plug on and then test it. Alright, so what we got going on is we're making like crimp-on style, like not lugs, I don't know what they are.
Like, instead of using a stake on, we're trying to get our stranded wire to be more solid so that it's more of a solid connection. This is the final product before it goes into the plug end.
But so I only have non-insulated butt connectors, which is what this is, and there's a little there's a little, they're butt connectors. They're meant to have two wires connected, and you crimp both sides. So there's a little spacer in there that stops the wires from going all the way through. So I have a drill bit to drill it out. So that it's totally through.
This is what we're trying to get into, but when we were putting the stranded in there and we were tightening it down, it was loosening up after you moved it a little bit. So then,
yeah, there's screws on the side here.
So then we decided to go with putting this on here, so it's got a solid piece of metal behind the screw. I love it.
So there they are, all crimped, so there's just a hole.
So instead of having the strain on our wires, you don't have to worry about the wire getting pulled out that way, because we put this little bundle of tape on there and it can't go through.
You can probably hear that inverter running, that charger. We got it all hooked up. Got the shore power screwed in there. Got the old eel stuck right in there. So the surge protector's running. Here's the display on it, and that is telling you the volts coming from the shore power, which is the garage here. 119 volts, all AC of course on this situation, and it's pulling 7 amps AC and 100 at that voltage, and then the charger is charging at 43 amps currently. The batteries haven't been charged in a long time, so this is long overdue, and it's a job complete. Here's the fridge vent access, and the framework here has to get screwed into the camper, on the side of the camper, and it hasn't been touched since I took it off. So I just blew it off, and I'm just gonna get this prepped. I'm just gonna rub this down with some Speedies. It's kind of like a polished aluminum cleaner, and just clean it up, and then put new butyl tape on and slap it on there. It goes in this section right here. It's the fridge cover. Look at it.
Wow, that's nice. What are you guys doing?
I was assigned to put butyl tape down
Yeah. Putting butyl
as
tape
close to this edge as possible.
because we don't have the right size butyl tape, so we have to utilize what we have. So we're gonna put one of those strips, and then we're gonna put another size strip on. So I have the furnace in. I just scuffed it and painted it again because it was looking a little rough. So I'm assembling that back together, right there.
Oh, hi, Tank.
And the kittens are all accounted for out there.
Is Sherman out there?
Yeah, he's under the white shirt.
This is first kitten footage.
There you go. There's your furnace ready to go.
You gotta put the circle in the circle, and the other circle's gotta go in the other circle.
Yeah. There are multiple sheet metal ductwork. I couldn't get this in there for 2 minutes.
So Jay got it started now.
No. I couldn't get it in there.
And now he's...
And Mark got it in there in literally 10 seconds. It was nested. So now, because I knew it was going to take a while.
Exposing the butyl tape.
Yep.
For its final seating.
Or just eyeballing it, really.
Can't use the level. Gotta
Could.
use the lines.
Yeah. Whatever looks good. I wish that she was over here, not over there.
Well, because the lighting is spectacular.
Bringing it in.
Back up. Back up, Tat.
When you put it in there, you gotta keep it high. Keep it as high as you can, and I'm gonna actually help you because you don't want to scrape that knife wood. I got the back. Okay, and then in the front, it's gotta get I think it's all the way in, isn't it? It should.
It feels pretty good.
Should be seated.
It looks like it's on that piece
Yeah.
of plywood you got there.
Nice.
Looks good from here.
That's good.
What's it look like from your end?
Oh, it looks perfect from here. I'm trying to get this hopper, which I've not even figured out, kind of in where it needs to go.
Try that. I don't know what you're doing after that, but whatever.
Roller
Figure it out
coasters.
later.
Roller coasters.
On copper, it's like Play-Doh, but it's just a little harder.
Working on installing the oven, and there are some screws that have to get sent into the plywood countertop there, 4 of the corners here. Do some pilot holes, just like that. 1-inch stainless number 8 screws I've been using on the exterior. That'll be nice. We got the 12-volt charging situation going on here, and that's going to be future charging from the truck, a high amperage charging from either an alternator or a charger. So I just ran all this wiring. It's 2-aught cabling. It's a little heavy for what it needs to be, but I had it. So we're going to use what we have, and can never have too big a cable. So anyway, I got it all tied up. I had to do some surgery to get that really close there with that different connection, and got it all tied down, and that snakes around, goes through behind the battery bank. So now I have you on the other side of the battery bank, and those cables come out from the back and then get tied to the bus bars here. So this is the negative bus bar, here's that cable, and then back here, it's hard to see, but that's the positive bus bar with that cover, and there's the cable coming in. So they're tied in. If that were to short out, it's protected by the main fuse in the whole system. So having a 2-aught cable, that helped. I didn't have to put a fuse in the system. Another reason why I'm putting that charging cable in here is because this opening right here is the propane tank storage, and I need to get all of this completed in here before I put that in, just to make sure that we're all in good shape. We have the fridge vent access done, got it all cleaned up, polished it, the framework, and painted this obviously, and this is removable. Done, ready to go.